Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode numero 24 of the NordCast. It is Wednesday, May 3rd, 2023. I'm your host, Nordic97 here, joined with Carter. How you doing?
How's it going?
Good, good. It's going pretty good.
That's good. That's good to
Yourself?
hear.
Yourself? How are you?
You know what? I'm doing pretty solid, you know.
I'm expecting a big episode out of you because we're going to talk about your team. But anyways, we got Jack. Jack, how you doing? You have no camera
Doing
today,
good.
though.
Yeah, no camera.
How's it
Sorry,
possible?
sorry, YouTubers.
Bad internet connection. So audio
Yeah,
listeners doesn't change anything, but the people who watch on the video, Jack's not here for today. But anyways, we have a lot to unravel, so we're just gonna get into it pretty much right away here. All the playoff series for the first round have concluded, and man, was it a wild first round to end. And the funny thing is too, when we had episode 23, it was Thursday of last week, and none of the series had concluded. I think the closest one was Vegas and Winnipeg, which I think ended the day afterwards. Sorry, Carter. But there have been at least 5 of these 8 have been very surprising in my honest opinion and just shocking. So we have a lot to unravel. We're going to start off with the Western Conference. We're going to go to Carter right away because I want to get him done and out of the way because I know he has a lot to talk about in regards to this series. So the Vegas Golden Knights have beaten the Winnipeg Jets 4-1 in 5 games. Vegas played a really solid 5-game series. They lost game 1, but then they won 4 straight to win it in 5 games. So, Carter, I'm going to go to you before we talk about Vegas, and we won't really talk about Vegas until the next round. But what are you thinking after that loss? What do you think has to happen?
Quite honestly, I have no idea. Because, to be honest, Bonus said it. I don't know if anyone paid attention to him after his meetings. He basically just said, this team just, gave up. These guys should be disappointed and, these aren't his exact words, but disappointed, ashamed, stuff like that. So really hard to hear if you're a player of under Rick Bonus, because that's something. Bonus is a hard coach, and he doesn't care. He will speak his mind, and he did that. And a couple players did not like that. Blake Wheeler being one of them, basically saying wish you would have talked to us instead of hiding behind closed doors. But at the same time, he's got a media thing. He probably talked to you guys and actually said some of the stuff to you.
Oh, yeah.
But, to be honest, I don't even know what's going to happen in this offseason. Because I could talk about what happened in those press interviews, after the season for hours. Because there were some Easter eggs that were said. There were some things that were said and just completely spiraled. A bunch of guys talking about they don't want to go through a rebuild. Kyle Connor being one of them. He said, no guy in their mid-20s wants to go through a rebuild. Connor Hellebuck basically said, I'm running out of time. I don't want to be a part of a rebuild. No one in the Jets organization wants a rebuild. Everyone needs to go compete. But right now, it looks like they have the pieces to go do it. But right now, they're just not performing. So I think they got to take a good hard look in the offseason and try and make some moves to go out and compete with this team. Because right now, there's a bunch of these guys that are going to be gone. PLD could be gone after this season. Scheifele, Wheeler, Hellebuck, all UFAs at the end of this year. Those are some big name guys that you are possibly losing after this season. So I think for next season, the Jets just got to kind of go all in on this core and try and make something happen. Or switch up the guys that don't want to be here and go into a rebuild. There's a couple of options. But right now, I think if they're trying to keep as many guys here from last year's team as this year, they got to go all out next season.
Now, I feel like, and I think you can correct me on this, but I feel like very early on in this podcast's history, when we were starting up this season, I don't think you were as high on Winnipeg as, they actually placed. You weren't. I think this podcast segment came to my mind. Yeah, you're probably going to say it.
Yeah, I said that the Jets should have traded Blake Wheeler and Mark Scheifele at 50% retained for the 2 years left on their deal and get a massive haul in return for them. Because could you imagine having Mark Scheifele at what he put up this year? He put up, I think, 40 goals, almost a point per game player at $4 million? That's ridiculous to have on your team. A first-line guy at $4 million is ridiculous, especially putting up 80 points. And then Blake Wheeler, I think he was one of the – no, he wasn't the assist leader because that would have been Josh Morrissey, but he was top in points as well for the Winnipeg Jets. And still getting him at around, I can't remember what his contract is. I'll say $4 to $5 million, with the retain, of course, would be insane too. So I pretty much said at the start of the season that the Jets should have just went into a rebuild, but I'm glad they didn't. They gave us a lot of hope. But there is one thing that I would like to bring up, and it goes with the Jets sales team for trying to pitch the season tickets. I don't know if you guys have seen this.
Yeah, I was going to talk about that. There's a lot going on in Winnipeg right now. That is one of the things that is not really being talked about with all the season ticket stuff. I don't know if you've seen the stories. I've seen some of them posted on Twitter of, season ticket holders being very upset. And it really does kind of make you pretty concerned at what, what's going to come in the future for Winnipeg. So continue.
Yeah. So pretty much they're basically it takes all of us to keep this team together. You love this team, keep supporting this team. Basically just trying to reel us in and say, hey, keep giving us money because the only reason we're going to stay is by staying here. No, you don't do that, right?
It kind of sounded like they were threatening to move. If they
Yeah,
didn't get
that's what it was. They were threatening to be like, hey, you don't want to give us money? See ya, Arizona 2.0. Honestly, I don't know what's going on with their management and everything, but they have not. They're quite honestly, they're as much as it seems like they're getting worse. The Jets, as far as for ticket stuff, is finally getting better. For a season ticket holder, before you barely got any benefits or anything like that. Now you're starting to get benefits and stuff like that. But yeah, as far as for the Jets in general, besides their team, things are not looking too good as far as sales and management and stuff like that. All the non-hockey business side of the Winnipeg Jets is not looking too good. So yeah, a lot to look out for in Winnipeg in these next couple years, because we could be definitely hearing some rumors of the Jets leaving, and I'm not happy.
For sure.
About that.
And when we get into, and we're gonna get into this a little bit later, but we're gonna start reviewing team seasons and talking about their off seasons and all that. When we get to Winnipeg, that could be a big discussion because honestly, they could decide to maybe go through a retool, trade some guys away, get some more younger capital in there. But this season, honestly, I really think this season kind of screwed them over, because if they were mediocre like they were last year, this year, I think they honestly probably would have been better off. Not gonna lie to you, Carter, but ever since the beginning of the year 2023, they have not been very good. They fell from being contending for first in the Central to a second wild card, the second wild card spot, right? So that is absolutely brutal. And, Bound has said it. There's no pushback in the team, and maybe that's kind of making you wonder, maybe they'll make some big moves in the offseason. And yeah. Dubois gone. I think Dubois leaves.
Quite honestly, I think unless we make a deep run, I'm talking either Western Conference Finals, Game 7, or Stanley Cup Finals, I don't think there's a shot he stays.
No,
unless we pull something ridiculous out of our ass, I don't think there's a chance he stays, which kind of does suck because, of course everyone wants to go play for their hometown team. That's what John Tavares did and stuff like that. But, yeah. Montreal is not really good right now. Why would you want to waste your prime in there when you could be kind of contending here? But at the end of the day, I'm not Pierre-Luc Dubois, and as much as it sucked to lose him, he's such a big part of this team, and he's a great playoff player. But, yeah.
Well, here's the thing. Honestly, with Pierre-Luc Dubois, there's been rumors of him going to Montreal for what feels like almost 2-3 years now. It's been a thing since he got to Winnipeg, to be honest with you. But honestly, I think he's gone. I don't really think that there's any way that he stays. I think he's an RFA this year, I believe. Correct?
No, we signed him to a 1 year. He's an RFA, I'm pretty sure, after this year. So after the 23-24 season, we signed him to a 1 year deal, so we have him for this next year. Then after that, he's an RFA. So as far as I'm aware, his rights will be traded.
Yeah, he's probably getting traded. I gotta be honest. And and the funny thing is too, what if all these rumors were coming out for years and then Montreal just ends up not wanting him? They're like, nah, we don't want this guy.
Nah, our core is fine, and he's just kind of shit out of luck now.
That'd be kind of funny. But honestly, yeah. Unless if the Jets offer him ridiculous money, I don't think he stays. even if whether or not he doesn't go to Montreal. I just think this team's heading in a pretty negative direction right now. You may think differently, but I kind of think that we're kind of getting to those years in Winnipeg where it's starting to look a little bit not so good. Jack, how you doing? I can't see you.
Doing good.
Can't tell you there. All right.
I know.
Alive?
Yeah, I'm here.
Do you have any thoughts on Winnipeg, anything like that, their direction where they should go?
Yeah, I mean, it's really two pretty opposite directions. I mean, like Carter said, you kind of have to build around the guys they have now. And I mean, you're really looking at a small window there, just because, age is growing. A lot of guys upper 20s, early 30s now. But I mean, the other way is sell everyone. And I think if they want to do that, this is the time to do it this off season. And that would be, a full retool. Or not really a retool, full rebuild. And I do think that would take a while. Build around guys like Perfetti and Kyle Connor if he wants to stay, but I don't know if he wants to go through a rebuild at this point in his career. Yeah, Carter's shaking his head no. I would assume no.
Kyle Connor was one of the guys that said he didn't want it.
I don't.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, like honestly, I don't think any player wants to go through a rebuild necessarily, unless if you really love playing in that city,
Exactly.
and love playing for those fans. I just can't see it. Jack, you got anything else? I was about to go into another.
Yeah, no, not really. Just two complete opposite directions they could go.
I wanted to wrap this up with the Winnipeg discussion. Connor Hellebuck. I think you touched base on it a little earlier, Carter, but what are your thoughts on that? He doesn't want to stay for a rebuild. That probably means he gets traded soon. Like, what are your thoughts on that, honestly? It probably hurts as a Jets fan. You're probably going to nod your head, but, like, what would be the best return, in your opinion?
Quite honestly, I don't even know what I want for Connor Hellebuck. There hasn't been, like, a specific point where I've been like, okay, Hellebuck's 100% gone. Like, I don't know what to do. To be honest, if the start of this season starts going south, he is gone before the trade deadline. That is 100%. And if we're mediocre by the trade deadline, he's gone. I
think that goes for a lot of players, too.
Yeah, I think we have to be in a 1-2 spot in the Central for him to be locked in, and he's going to finish this season no matter what. So, quite honestly, I think it's going to be like a just play-by-ear situation on Connor Hellebuck. But I don't even know what I'd want in return for him. We'd need at least a good prospect. At least, not a lot of teams have good prospect goalies, so I wouldn't even want like a prospect goalie. Just give us a prospect because, one of our prospect goalies, I can't remember what team he plays for. I sent it to my dad. Pretty much one of our prospect goalies won like a award in the juniors. So I think he's probably going to end up being one of our up-and-comers in the draft.
He's got to be, especially if you trade Hellebuck.
Yeah, Dominic DiVincentis. He was named the OHL Goalie of the Year with the North Bay Babylon with 36 wins, a .233, and a .919 save percentage with 5 shutouts, which was tied for most. So we have a decent goalie coming up. I don't know. He might not be as good as Connor Hellebuck, as Connor Hellebuck is truly a superstar generational goalie. So yeah, I don't even know what we could even get in return for him. So that'll be something that we'll definitely dig deeper into in the off season.
We'll find out.
Yeah.
We shall see. Anything else for Winnipeg, Carter? You talked for a solid 15 minutes.
Yeah, I apologize for you guys who hate hearing about Winnipeg.
Carter.
Yeah, this is a touchy subject for me. So
yeah, but also I'm gonna bring this up one last time. You had them winning the Stanley Cup. How's your bracket looking now? And I'm gonna ask all you guys this. How's your bracket looking now?
Oh, my actual bracket's doing all right. Yeah, to be honest, I just said Jets to win the cup just because I love it. I don't even know if people actually realize how much I actually like trolling. I do it way too much to the point where I don't even know what's genuine at all. So, yeah, I think I got to cut myself back on that.
Yeah. We'll move on now. Vegas, but we'll touch base on Vegas for a second. But Vegas played a really well thought series. Brossoit unexpectedly solid goaltender. That kind of probably hurts for you, Carter, but he looked all right in those 5 games. And I really thought they would put Quick in, but they didn't. So overall, and guys like Chandler Stevenson too, playing a really solid series. Mark Stone returned, played well. So yeah, just not a bad series for Vegas overall. We'll move on now. At that rate, we'll have this podcast done in like 6 hours. Edmonton versus LA. That's the first series we're going to talk, or the second series we're going to talk about now. The Oilers won that series 4-2. Now, what I would argue in that series was the turning point was Game 4. Kings go up 3-0. And that didn't look so good because the Kings won Game 3 in overtime and they were already up 2-1 in the series. If they won that Game 4, they'd probably win the series. And I got to be fully honest, even though Edmonton was like a really solid team up until then, honestly, I couldn't see them winning 3 straight. LA just looked too hot at that point, and they were outplaying the Oilers. But Edmonton pushed back, won in overtime. And I'd like to bring up this stat. They are 18-0-3 since March. 18-0-3. And I would also like to point out that 2 of those 3 overtime losses are literally in this year's playoffs. So that means that that is just an unreal stat. So whoever has any thoughts on like Edmonton or LA, just take it away, or the series overall.
I mean, my main thing is the Oilers power play. I mean, can we talk about that for a second? That was insane. I don't know. Like, teams just have to stay out of the box against them. I don't see Edmonton losing if teams are just constantly getting penalties against them. And the thing is, they're not only good at scoring on their power plays, they're good at making power plays. They're good at drawing penalties. And, that's their strong suit right now. And, that's what's going to take them far in these playoffs.
Yeah, that's always been their strong suit. They've been a really awesome team in that area. Evan Bouchard, I'd like to give a shout out to him, my fellow Evan.
Oh, yeah.
He's played really well on the blue line for Edmonton, scoring a ton of goals, getting a lot of points, just being a really solid player, contributing to that Oilers blue line. Just did a really good job at defending the Kings. Now, if you're LA, honestly, I would look at getting probably a goalie because Korpisalo didn't play too bad, but honestly, you need a better goaltender than Korpisalo. What?
Hellebuck?
Maybe. Just maybe. Quinn Byfield going the other way. Alex Turcotte.
I'll take Brant Clark. Thank you very much.
I don't think LA would like to give up Brant Clark. But yeah, maybe goalie. But LA, I think honestly, it does suck because in these past 2 years they've played the Oilers twice in a row, and they fumbled it both times. Which stinks, but honestly, the Oilers are a good team, and it doesn't, water down LA at all. They're still a really solid hockey club, and I think that in the coming years, they will eventually get their shot at going all the way. Carter, do you have anything on that series?
To be honest, not a whole heck of a lot. You guys kind of covered it, but that was actually pretty fun series to watch. Just in general, I had that as like my series to watch. And it didn't disappoint. Yeah. I think that was a very good series, very good for both teams. Like it was entertaining, especially after a 3-0 comeback win for the Edmonton Oilers. I mean, they creamed them in Game 5, but other than that, it was a very, very fun series to watch. Jack brought up kind of how their power play has been so good. Vegas actually did take a lot of penalties against the Winnipeg Jets, so that is something that we are going to have to watch out for. Is Vegas did take a lot of penalties, so might not be good for them. But you kind of mentioned how they're good at taking penalties. They got speed everywhere. So speed is very key in getting those like easy tripping calls, just those light hacks as soon as a guy goes by you. So Edmonton is going to be a scary team, I think, for Vegas. And, Vegas plays Edmonton all the time, but I don't know. I think Vegas Vegas is just going to have to stay out of the box, but Edmonton's got a good shot at Vegas.
Just watch out when Draisaitl's on the ice, too, because I think he has still been on the ice for every Oilers goal, which is still unreal.
That's crazy.
Which is ridiculous. Like,
that's insane.
That's unreal.
Like, the amount of goal, and, like, we could tally this up. I can't think of it in my head, but you look at the amount of goals they scored in that first round. If someone wants to do it, they can.
I got you.
that's unreal how many times he's been on the ice for the amount of times they've scored. As Carter does that, we'll get into this next series. Dallas versus Minnesota. Dallas eventually won that series 4-2 after going down 2-1 in Game 3. Carter, do you have it?
25.
25 freaking goals. And some of them
That's
were
crazy.
scored by him, so of course you do have to factor that in there, but that's still insane in 6 games. The fact that he's been on the ice for every goal, and that's one of the best playoff performances we've seen in a long time. But anyways, Dallas versus Minnesota. Dallas won that series in 6 games, 4-2, after being down 2-1 in the series. Minnesota, we'll get into Toronto a little bit later, but with Toronto breaking their first-round curse, Minnesota is kind of the new placeholder for that. And the Devils also broke their first-round curse, too. The Sabres currently hold the record for the longest time without a playoff series win, but they haven't been in the playoffs, so I don't really count that. But yeah, Minnesota has not done so well in the first round for a while. They just keep losing first round, bounced every time. And I think a lot of times, too, we've picked them, and I've picked them to go further than they would, but they keep losing the first round. I don't know what you change, honestly. And it's the weird thing with them. Like what do you change with them? Do you bring in a new goalie? Do you bring in new players? It feels like they did that already, and they're still not being able to get past the first round. So, what do you guys think about that? Do they have to bring in a whole new coach, whole new players? But they already did that, bringing in Kaprizov and all them. So,
quite honestly, I don't know what their next step is, to be honest. Like, this team looks like it should be good to compete. They brought in John Klingberg to help out their defense there. I don't know. I quite honestly, I don't know. I don't know if they need to be a little bit more defensive with their offensive players there, with their forwards. Try and be a little bit better in the defensive zone and not focus so much on the offense, because they are a great offensive team for Minnesota. But I don't know. I think they just got to focus a little bit more on their defensive side, helping out their goalie, because at the end of the day, like, you got to help out your goalie in these playoffs, or they are going to get absolutely sewered.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Gustafsson, looking like a really positive player, played incredibly well in the regular season. Come the playoffs, didn't look so good. I think Kaprizov, too, and you can correct me on this, but Kaprizov, I don't think looked so good in those playoffs either. If I remember seeing it correctly, he didn't have a lot of points, which is definitely not good news. Jack, what do you think about Minnesota, or just the series overall?
Yeah, I mean, Minnesota, as you mentioned, just constantly first round exits, and this is a good team. So I don't know.
Yeah.
How many coaching changes have they had recently? Do you know?
They fired Boudreaux in 2019. They brought in Dean Evison. Carter, what do you got?
Oh, I was just gonna say he only had 1 goal in the 6 games played.
Yeah, that you can't. That's not gonna fly. You need to be. You
can't have that from your all-star.
Exactly. That's the thing. That's what we saw last year too. Just, I don't know. You just need. That's when you need your star players to step up the most. And with other teams, that's what we see. That's how we see them advance. The guys who are supposed to be producing, they're the ones that are producing, and that's not what Minnesota's doing. And Dallas is a tough team. Don't get me wrong, but I think Minnesota is better than them.
Yeah. I feel like the Wild really should have won that series, even though Dallas finished above them. But I'll give credit to Dallas. I've always liked Dallas. Dallas has always been one of my favorite teams. I actually really enjoy watching them. I don't know if you guys can say the same because you're division rivals, but I've always enjoyed Dallas. Just watching them, some of the guys they have, Robertson, they looked very fun to watch in this year's playoffs. As well as that, too. Game 1, round 2 last night. Pavelski goes out in Game 1, comes back, and scores 4 goals.
That was insane. Great.
Just wild. All 4 of the goals last night were scored by Pavelski, which is insane. But we'll get into that series in a little bit. But any final thoughts on Dallas and the Minnesota series? We got anything?
No.
Nope. All right, we'll take you to the final round of the Western Conference, and oh man, was this arguably the most surprising one. Seattle versus Colorado, and they pulled it off. Seattle wins in 7 games and advances to the second round to play Dallas. Oh man, what a playoff series this was. And, it just goes to show, how underrated and how talented Seattle really is. Because Nathan McKinnon, a Stanley Cup champion, a superstar forward, said that the Kraken were his hardest team to play in the first round ever in his entire career. And McKinnon's been around for almost 10 years. So that's insane. And the fact that Seattle, as well as that too, scored the first goal in every single game of that series, including last night, is wild. Honestly. So yeah, Seattle looking really impressive in their second year. And I got a question for y'all. With them knocking out Colorado, could they actually like make it to the conference finals? Could they beat Dallas? Could they beat Vegas or Edmonton? Could they go all the way? Like what are we thinking?
Yeah, I think any team can go all the way right now. Honestly, last night they had that 2-goal lead, and they looked good. They had like 3 goals in a couple minutes there, 4 goals in the first period, and this is a team where you have all 4 lines that are like they're literally equal to each other. All 4 lines go out there and they do the same thing as one another, and there's really no like star player on the Seattle Kraken. Maybe Eberle, you could argue Eberle, you could argue a couple other guys, but I mean this is a team that they just work so well together, and I wasn't expecting this at all. I thought the Avalanche were going to go in there and destroy them, but
I think we all did.
yeah. I thought it was going to be 4 or 5 game series.
Yeah, I think we
But
all
yeah,
had
shout out to the
Avs.
Kraken.
Yeah, Kraken played a really well and hard fought series. And even though it screwed over my bracket, I'm proud of them. And like you said, all 4 lines, very deep. It seems like they're playing with a chip on their shoulder because this is all the guys who were taken in the expansion draft. And as well as that too, Stanley Cup experience is a big thing with this team. Because you look at their top 3 scorers, you got Yanni Gourde, scored 2 goals, or had 2 Stanley Cups, not scored 2 goals. Justin Schultz has 1 Stanley Cup, and Jaden Schwartz has a Stanley Cup. So just like they have Stanley Cup experience, they're really solid. So Carter, do you have anything? Any thoughts on Seattle? We'll get into Colorado in a second.
Yeah, like that was a ridiculous series. I know you talked about how Seattle had scored the first goal in every game. That's huge in hockey, especially because goals aren't as common as they are in like points in other sports and stuff like that. Getting the first goal and putting the pressure on the other team is huge. It doesn't even have to be early. It could be midway through the second period. But if you get that first goal, it is huge for draining energy from that other team because every team wants to score the first goal. And when you're unable to do that, you feel this sense of like disaccomplishment. I don't even know if that's a word, but sounds right. So I'll stick with it. But they have definitely been, I can't say the biggest surprise because we'll get into that. But
Eastern Conference is going to, if you think it took us a while to talk about the West, oh man, we got a lot to unravel in the East.
But yeah, they were one of the biggest surprises in the playoffs this year, and it's crazy that they aren't the biggest. But what
100%.
A series that was, and it's not like I think the best part about the series is there wasn't like every game was like a blowout back and forth. They were all very tight games. It always came down to a simple play, and then so what a series that was.
Yeah, they were all like 3-1, 3-2, 2-1 games. I think the only game that was like actually really high scoring was the 6-4 win in Game 3 for Colorado. Apart from that, all of these games were extremely close and they were very fun to watch. So very fun series. Colorado though, we'll get into them. Losing your captain hurts, for sure, and that definitely affected them. But like just losing some of the guys they lost, the injuries, and just it really didn't look good for them. I was a little worried with no Landeskog, and it kind of did take the toll on them a little bit. And I mean, honestly, just Seattle, it just looked like the better team. And then of course the Valerie Nichushkin situation too. You can't. That really sucks. We won't get into that, but yeah. That does it for the West. We got anything else? Any final things for the West before we get into the craziness of the East? Got nothing? All right. So we'll talk about. What was that, Jack?
Oh, I just said nothing.
Oh, okay. We'll get into the Eastern Conference now. We'll start off with the most calm series of the 4, Carolina versus the Islanders. Carolina defeats the Islanders 4-2 in 6 games to move on to play the New Jersey Devils, which we'll get into in a second here. But Carolina played a really solid, well-thought game like they usually do in these series. Just did a really good job at fighting off the Islanders. I had them winning this series from the start. I think we all did. But yeah, for New York, what direction do you go now? Because you got Bo Horvat locked in for 8 years, and you played pretty lousy in those playoffs. So what do you do if you're the Islanders? Do you go out and try and make a move, try and double down more, or do you start panicking and try to look at a retool, or just leave things how they are? Whoever wants to go first.
Yeah, the Islanders, they really don't have much to work with, but I do think they have to go younger if
Yeah.
they want to get past the first round in years to come. I think they could be a playoff team next year if they keep the same team. And you need Barzal healthy for the whole year, and he's obviously a big part. And then you got Horvat on that big contract, 8 years. And yeah, I mean those are gonna be your two guys. And I say, you gotta trade some of these older, slower guys because that's just not the NHL today. You need to go faster. And yeah, I don't know. The Islanders are in a tough spot. Just because their roster right now, it's not the best, and I know they still want to be competing. So yeah, I think you go younger and go faster.
Yeah, we'll see what amounts of that. Carter, what do you think about the Islanders, or just the series overall?
Quite honestly, I think the Islanders might have messed up by trading for Bo Horvat. That guy
Yeah.
did not play well since acquiring him. He was not very solid. So, I don't know if that messed them up or anything like that, because this still was a close series, even though it was a 4-2 thing. Like, it didn't really show how close it was, but it was a very fun series to watch.
Yeah.
The Islanders were just a very solid defensive team, but I don't know what direction they got to go in. I think they got to retool, but it's really hard because you got Bo Horvat 8x8. You just signed him to that, and so as Jack said, they got to. Yeah, as Jack said, they got to get younger. So it's a little hard to do that when he's going to be on an 8-year deal and he's one of your older players. So I don't honestly know what direction the Islanders are going to have to go in here, but I do feel bad for Mikey Bartner.
Oh yeah, I definitely feel bad for Bartner. We'll have to bring him on eventually. Talk about this stuff more. But yeah, honestly, it'll be a confusing direction for the Islanders. It also kind of sucks too, because imagine and we talked about this. I think the very first episode, and we keep referring back to the early days. But we talked about them almost getting Nazem Kadri. What if they got Kadri? Does the Bo Horvat trade ever happen? Does that ever happen? Are they a better team? Do they finish higher in the standings? Carter's shaking his head.
No, I don't. Well, I don't think they end up making that Bo Horvat deal. They made that deal so they could try and make a splash and try and make a playoff push, try and get a little bit higher in the standings there. Did not work out for them though. But I don't think with Kadri on that team that it would have made them any better. I think they probably would have stayed close to the same as where they are now, maybe a little bit higher or a little bit lower, but they would have fluctuated within where they finished this season.
Yeah, probably. I agree. Yeah, with that calm series being done, we'll move on to the third calmest or the third craziest. We got Devils versus Rangers. I honestly, and I think in the last time that we recorded, the series was tied, I believe. But honestly, that series is in the bag for the Rangers. And the fact that they fumbled it, and it blows my mind. The Devils won in 7 games to move on to play the Carolina Hurricanes in the second round. Just we'll start out with the Rangers before we get into the Devils, but just wow. Honestly, there was a lot with the Rangers that just ridiculous. First off, Panarin, 2 assists. Lafreniere, nothing. Across the whole entire board, nothing. No plus minus, no penalty minutes, none of that. Just full zeros. What are you doing, Carter?
Oh, I'm just saying ghost.
Oh, okay. He's mouthing me, and I thought he was mocking me. But yeah, these guys
No.
look like ghosts. I agree with Carter. These guys have looked like just ghosts out there on the ice. And where do you go from here? And it really kind of opened up this discussion saying that the Rangers rushed their rebuild because Lafreniere doesn't look so good now. And you look at the guys they drafted. None of them have turned out to be what they were supposed to be, and the only reason why they're so good now is because of the guys they signed: Panarin, Zibanejad, like Trocheck. And now, and you go out there too in this year's deadline, acquire Kane, Mott, and Tarasenko,
Tarasenko.
and you lose in 7. Like it's blows my mind that they got this many players and this many assets, and they just completely fumble it. Like I have no words, honestly. So whoever wants to go first, talk about the catastrophe, just go away. I gotta grab my charger. Go away.
Yeah.
All right.
The Rangers,
Yeah.
they went. Oh, you want me to go?
No. Oh yeah. You go.
Okay. Yeah, I was saying, Rangers, Rangers, they just went all in this year. As you mentioned at the deadline, they got, excuse me, sorry, I got a cough going on. But yeah, they went out and got Tarasenko and Kane. They didn't give up too much for both those guys, but it definitely does affect the future. And I do agree that they did rush the rebuild. Lafreniere did not look great at all. I don't think he had a single point in that series. And, he's really going to be a defining piece to the Rangers next year and years to come. And he's a number 1 overall pick. You don't expect that from him. You expect a lot more, especially in the playoffs. But yeah, Rangers, I think they should probably re-sign Tarasenko. I don't know about Kane. I know Kane said he was playing through the injury there, but if you want to re-sign both guys, I say go for it.
I don't think they have the money to.
Yeah, but if it's one of those guys, I think you go Tarasenko.
Yeah, probably. Carter, what do you think?
Yeah, quite honestly, that was a massive fail for the New York Rangers. Quite honestly, I don't know what they do now, because that was their shot right there. That was it. That was the moment where it was like, okay, it's cup or bust right now. They went all in. They still keep a couple other pieces for next year, but they're losing the guys that they gave up a decent amount for. Kane, not so much. They didn't really give up a whole heck of a lot for Patrick Kane, but they went all in on this season. This had to be their year. Kako did a little bit better. Lafreniere did a little bit better. This was their shot, and they couldn't do it. They couldn't beat a young Devils team who did a rebuild correctly, and the Rangers didn't, and that showed in this series. But we got to give a round of applause to Schmid there.
Oh,
that
yeah.
man,
seriously, yeah.
Yeah, you keep Vanacek in there, they're losing.
Yeah, you keep Vanacek in there, and it's wraps. It's over. But I've seen so many memes where it's like the Rangers, every single time a team pulls out an AHL goalie, and it's just some sort of, I don't even know, but yeah, Rangers, I think they fumbled. They fumbled it this year. I think this was their shot, and they blew it.
Yeah, now I'm a little worried for next year. Like, what are their odds going to be next season? Don't look so good. But yeah, big round of applause to Schmidt. If you don't bring him in, I think you lose that series, honestly. And the fact that Rangers fans called him mid and all that, I think really kind of goes to show and made it look bad for him. So yeah, overall, really solid series. It was very fun nonetheless, despite the outcome. But yeah, I had that team going to the Stanley Cup Finals, and they blew it. So yeah, that sucks for me. At least my Cup finalist is still in it. Can't say the same for y'all though. But anyways, anything else for that Devils Rangers?
No.
Carter don't look too happy with me right now. Sorry, Carter. But anyways, we'll move on to the next one. Toronto versus Tampa. They slayed the freaking dragon. Toronto has made it to the second round, defeating Tampa Bay 4-2. Now, I got a question for y'all, and we'll get into the second round in a second after we do the next series after this, which will be a pretty long discussion. But how far do you guys think Toronto could go now with their win over the Lightning? How far do you think they're going to go, Jack?
Yeah, I think Toronto is the favorite right now. I know they lost last night to Florida. Wasn't their best game, but yeah, they beat a really good team in Tampa. Tampa's still very, very solid, and yeah, Leafs finally getting out of the first round. Would be funny
Wasn't
to
so
see them
real.
go out again, but I'm glad they made it past. They deserve it. Yeah, this is just a really good team, and I mean, you really saw them dig deep, especially in that last game, the overtime win. Tavares just so clutch, and yeah, they got a bunch of players that are pretty much built for the playoffs. I want to say, McCabe and Lafferty, two of my former Blackhawks there. They had a good series. McCabe, just really solid defenseman, and Lafferty, just that grinder, third, fourth line kind of guy. And then, yeah, O'Reilly was good too. I know he didn't have the best regular season with them, but he showed up in the first round. And yeah, the Leafs are rolling.
I can't express it enough how valuable O'Reilly was in that series. He
Oh
has
my
so
gosh,
much
yeah,
heart. He has so much just everything. He played so damn well in that series that
yeah,
honestly, I think Toronto should consider bringing him back.
yeah, for sure.
Honestly, re-sign him. And I don't even really care what it takes. Re-sign him. His UFA money or the amount of money he could get paid has definitely gone up, but I think you should re-sign him if you're Toronto, and maybe even
Yeah,
consider letting someone like Michael Bunting walk because O'Reilly's been that good. He's just been that talented of a center. Now that would flunk up Toronto's center core because you got Matthews and Tavares, but like O'Reilly still would be a really really solid player, and he was in that first round, and he's part of the reason why they even made it out. So yeah, Carter, you got anything, Toronto?
As much as I don't want to, I do. Um, one thing, it's about time. I quite honestly, I've been like, it's just time. Like you knew this day was gonna come and it had to happen, but I'm upset it had to happen because I wanted it to be a running joke for my entire life.
yeah,
Because basically the last time they made it past the first round, I wasn't born yet, and then I was born, and then they hadn't passed the Cup final. So I was hoping to make it till I died, but I guess that's not gonna happen. So, but yeah, congratulations to them. Like that's a great win for them, especially against a team that beat them last year. And uh, one thing, I was actually talking about this with my dad and how it was like I think the only team right now that I think could have beaten the Toronto Maple Leafs were the Tampa Bay Lightning and the Boston Bruins. And now I'm kind of hitting that point where I'm like, Toronto could realistically make a cup run here. I know Florida's up 1-0. As I, quite honestly, I am begging Florida wins. I am just like hands on my knees begging for Florida to win that series. But at the same point, I don't know. I think realistically, I think Toronto could end up making a run to the Cup final here, which I would not be happy about. But realistically, I don't. Right now, I don't know what team can stop them.
Yeah, with Boston out, and we'll get into that in like literally less than 5 minutes. Honestly, I really do think Toronto could go far. No disrespect to Florida. Florida could very well win this series. You should not count out Florida like we did against Boston. You should not at all. So honestly, yeah, I really do think that they have a good chance at going for a Stanley Cup run, and I think it would be one hell of a run for sure. You go over the hump, and as well as that too, I want to point this out. Um, you look at teams in previous years, Tampa Bay or not Tampa Bay, Florida, Colorado couldn't get over the hump, stuck in the second round. They finally get past it last year and they win the cup. Washington was in the second round, just couldn't get past that for years. Wins it, finally goes all the way to the cup. So, honestly, maybe this goes to show maybe this is the year Toronto does it. But honestly, now that they finally made it past the first round, there is still pressure, 100%. But I think that Toronto fans should be happy with what happened this season. And they should, if they lose in the second round, if Florida beats them, they should be very excited for next season. 100%. But yeah, you guys got anything else in that series or Toronto's end? We'll talk about Tampa real quick.
no,
Tampa Bay, and I want to touch base on them. They look tired, and we've mentioned it in the past like 2 episodes, saying the fact that they like played multiple extra seasons of playoff hockey. So of course that's going to take a toll on like your overall play, and it definitely has for Tampa. And of course, too, they came out with a lot of injuries. Point was hurt. Janot was hurt. Hedman was hurt. They were playing through a lot of injuries. But I think that now that they were eliminated relatively early in the playoffs, gives them the opportunity to, recover and, get this team back in shape and at least get a little bit healthier. And I think they will be back next season. 100%. They still have a really good hockey team, but there will be some moves this offseason that will kind of shake them up a little bit regardless. But yeah, anything else for that series? We got anything?
No.
I think you guys have been waiting for this one. The biggest collapse in NHL history. And I'm going to start off with that. The biggest collapse in the history of the entire NHL. The Florida Panthers defeated the Boston Bruins 4-3 in a 7-game series to move on to play the Maple Leafs. What the hell? I'm gonna say that straight up off the bat. What the hell? So Boston, and I want to explain why this is the biggest collapse. Boston, 65-win team, gets the wins record, gets the points record, and then they go into the playoffs. They lose one, but that's fine. They go 3-1 in the series. Things are looking awesome. But then they blow it to the worst team to make the playoffs. Not the worst team in the playoffs, but the worst team to make the playoffs statistically. Just how? How do you do it? How do you manage that? And it is actually unreal that they did that, because I saw so many people say during the regular season that I can't see a team beating Boston in 4 games. I can't see a team beating Boston 4 times out of 7. Well, here we go. Florida, they did it. And God bless them, because I had them missing the playoffs. I really think I did have them missing the playoffs. I can't believe it. You guys take it away while I recollect my thoughts. I still can't believe
Quite honestly, yeah. Hey, take your time. Take your time. This is something that, I need you to breathe. We need you fully here.
What happened? What caused this? Like, honestly, guys, give your answers. What caused this to happen?
Yeah.
Who's that?
I don't know. The gambling websites. Sports are rigged. That's the issue.
The President's Trophy curse.
The president. He was upset with the President's Trophy winning that Joe Biden said, you know what? No. First round exit.
Joe Biden controls.
Call me a conspiracy theorist, but I think this could work. This lines up.
Oh, for sure.
Okay, Canadian. Anyways. But like, realistically, what the hell went wrong here? Like, is it the President's Trophy curse? Is it just the players not being good? Is it just them looking nervous? They looked scared in that overtime. They looked like they were scared to make a chance and win the game. That I honestly felt like there was a Florida goal coming. So
honestly,
yeah.
like I don't even know. I don't know where they went wrong here. Olmark did not look good. Like, let's be honest.
Wasn't he hurt?
No, he played every game except for the last one.
But then there's the question. Well, there definitely was something up with him. I remember seeing something about that. But then there's the question of like, well, why didn't you pull him out in Game 5 and put Swayman in? You could have put Swayman in, and I think they have that game in the bag, honestly, if they put Swayman in and win.
They could have, like, at that point, like, it was Game 6, I'm pretty sure that it went 7-5, right? Yeah, that was the game where Florida won 7-5. At that point there, like, I don't know why you wouldn't have put Swayman in there after they tied at 5-5. Then you're giving Olmark a rest to, like, recoup, and then you get your starting goalie back for Game 7. I don't think it was a bad thing that Swayman was put in there for Game 7, but that's a challenge for a especially young goaltender. Like, you're playing on the best regular season team in NHL history. You're playing in a Game 7 with your team's season on the line. I feel really bad for Jeremy Swayman there after that because, yeah, like, that's really upsetting there. But, again, congrats to Florida, the 17th team overall. So, yeah.
Yeah, just unbelievable. Jack, I can't see you, but I'm sure you're in shock right now. What do you think?
I am in shock, and I would agree with the fact that they look scared. In that Game 7 overtime, Nordic, I agree with the scared part, because I feel like they felt like they couldn't give up any chances. which is not true because if you give both those teams chances, Boston's going to score.
Yeah.
Just because with the players they have, they're so much better than Florida, and Florida is a borderline playoff team in my opinion. And they go in there, come back 3-1 series deficit, and they knock out Boston. And honestly, it's just one of the wildest things I've ever seen. To be honest with you.
Yeah, me too. Me too. And honestly, like the next thing that compares to this is probably Tampa Bay in 2019, but
Yeah.
I wasn't as shocked. Carter, what do you got?
I was just gonna say, which one do you think was worse?
Oh, fucking Boston.
Really?
Yeah, no doubt in my damn mind. Boston.
Serious?
Sure.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm the complete other way around.
No. You look at Columbus. That team that upset Tampa, they actually had a pretty solid roster there. They had Panarin, they had Duchesne. Those guys in their prime were really good. They had Bobrovsky, who ironically beat Boston too. You had some really good players on that Florida or on that Columbus team that it could have been predictable for them to beat the Lightning, even though not many did.
A sweep, though.
It was
being
shocking,
the best,
yes. But did they blow a 3-1 lead? Did they just absolutely crumble, like Boston?
Quite honestly, I think to be honest, let's take the Boston and Toronto fact, or the Boston and the Florida thing, like Boston and Tampa, like points perspective out of there. Getting swept and blowing a 3-1 lead, which is worse? I think getting swept is worse.
I think blowing a 3-1 lead is worse.
Really?
Yeah, I
Jack,
do.
tiebreaker.
What?
Oh my god!
God damn it!
Damn it, Jack! Jack,
What did Carter say?
Which is worse, blowing a 3-1 series lead or losing or getting swept?
Oh, blowing a 3-1 series lead for sure.
Thank you. Yes.
No way! Really?
No, it's worse for everything, especially if you're like the best team in the history of the league. If you win, you get the wins record, the points record, and then you go 3-1, you're expected to close that out. And what did they do?
Sure.
They fumbled it. Tampa
if
Bay.
We're talking about Boston this year.
Wins record. What?
Like,
we're talking about Boston this year. Like that is the worst possible thing that can happen.
Yeah.
I agree with the fact that implosion is worse than Tampa's, but I think getting swept is worse than a 3-1 series lead.
Maybe it is worse, but I think what's more embarrassing
with context, I think Boston's is worse.
Yeah, but oh my gosh,
it's still ridiculous.
I was gonna say something. Tampa in that series though, there was really no point until Game 4, and probably maybe the beginning of Game 1 where they had control in that series. Columbus had control for the majority of that series and played a really well, hard-fought playoff matchup. Yeah, I believe that.
Yeah.
Wait, what did you said? Boston and Columbus.
Oh, I meant Tampa and Columbus. My fault.
Yeah, Tampa.
I'm already making up teams, but yeah, yeah, biggest collapse in NHL history. There's no question. People were saying that the Toronto collapse was worse.
They never had a collapse though. Oh, that one. No, I wouldn't say that one would be worse.
I mean,
that one was definitely
funnier.
Bad. That one was
bad
definitely
and it's funny, but it's not worse.
No,
Toronto
was yeah, Toronto was ridiculous and was like a 60-win team, then sure, even though there's 56 games in that season, but we don't have to get into that.
Anyway,
but still.
But yeah, just Montreal got hot at the right time, and that might be the argument here with Florida too. But
cool.
Yeah.
Oh man, if you're Toronto though, you got to be glad that you're not playing Florida in the first round, or you're not playing Boston in the first round. Yeah, my fault.
Yeah.
You definitely got to be glad about that. Which, you guys got anything more about the first round? Last thoughts on just the first round. How's everyone's bracket looking? Mine's the only one that's looking all right. Everyone's bracket looking good?
Yeah. No, mine's not too great. I have Rangers winning, Boston winning, Minnesota winning.
I had 5 of 3 right, I believe. So, yeah.
My actual bracket had three of them wrong. I had Florida, Tampa, or Florida, Toronto, and Seattle losing. But other than that,
really?
My actual bracket was good.
Huh. All right. We'll move on here from the first round. We're gonna start talking about the second round. We won't go too in depth with this because we kind of already talked about most of these teams, or actually all these teams. Anyways, so we'll start off with Carolina versus the Devils. Game one of that is tonight. So at time recording, it has not been played, but once this video is up or this podcast is up, of course that series will have been played and concluded. But I do want to say, like, two very hard, well thought teams. Going to be a very close series. I have Devils in 7. Who do you guys have?
Yeah.
I'm going to take the Canes in 6.
You're going to take Devils in 6?
No, Canes in 6.
Oh, wait, did I say Devils in 7? I meant Canes in 7.
Yeah, you said Devils in 7.
Oh, I meant Canes in 7. My fault. I had Canes in 7, not Devils in 7.
Well, I had Devils in 7, so.
Oh, buddy. You wanna go in depth with that?
You want me to?
Yeah, go in depth with that. I'm demanding.
I don't know.
You.
I really like this team. I think that how they played against the New York Rangers with all their offensive weapons was very key. Like, Carolina, like, they still have a great team. Don't get me wrong. They're a very good all-around team, but I think being able to shut down a very scary offense in the New York Rangers, especially setting their stars up for pretty much ghosts in those series. So I really like how they played defensively. So I think if they can keep this up, I think they can beat the Carolina Hurricanes.
Yeah, I can see that, but I think Carolina is a much deeper, and they're way more well coached. I think the Devils do have the star power though, which I think will make this series close. But yeah, I have Carolina in 7. Carter, you don't look too happy with that take. You don't look too happy with me.
Oh, no. My dog is howling upstairs, so I just yeah.
Oh, that's fun. Anyways, we'll move on to the next series. We got Toronto versus Florida now. Of course, the first game has already been played. Florida won that game 4-2 to move on and lead the series 1-0. So overall, despite the game one, what is your guys' take? I had Toronto in 6, I believe, or actually no 7. I think I had 7 for almost all these series. Carter?
Florida in 6.
Oh my god. Yeah, really? I can see that. I guess I can see that. Jack?
I'm going to go Leafs in 7.
Yeah, I think it will be a close series, nonetheless. Florida winning game 1, though, does make me like the odds of Florida winning it, potentially. But I just hope Toronto doesn't get swept in round 2, because that would kind of stink. Carter probably is. Yep, he's nodding his head right now. That's fan who hates the Leafs and their television and all their
one thing. Yeah, I would like to say. I don't know. I don't know. You guys probably did see this, but have you seen that guy, and I don't know if it's his daughter or anything like that, how they've been to so many Leaf games wearing other teams' jerseys. Those guys are my idol. Oh my god, I wish that one day I am as petty as them, because that's awesome.
It's actually hilarious, the fact that they bought tickets to go to those games and that they wore Arizona, Tampa Bay, and Florida jerseys. It's so funny.
There's more. I saw at least 6 pictures of them wearing different jerseys.
Really? That's awesome.
It was insane. I want to say they had I'm pretty sure there was an Avs one.
That's actually
it might have been
awesome.
Dallas. I can't remember. But I hope that one day I am as petty as them, especially to do it in Toronto. I think it's the best part.
The girl, someone sent me her Instagram, and like I looked at it, and she's just wearing all these different jerseys. She's also a Blue Jays fan, which I thought was strange. So maybe she's messing around, or she just hates the Leafs.
No, to be honest, you can hate the Leafs and be a fan of the Blue Jays.
Nah, that's true, actually. Yep, Carter, that's valid. I think the majority of Canada is actually Blue Jays fans.
Yeah, to be honest, if you're in Canada, you're pretty much cheering for the Blue Jays. No matter what. They don't have to be your number one, but there's always going to be some party deep down.
Yeah, that's the only team in the whole country, so.
Yep, that's Jack's sport.
Exactly.
Anyways, Jack, did I ask? I did ask for your prediction. Yeah, Toronto in 7. We'll move on to the Western Conference. You got Seattle and Dallas. They already played game 1 of that series, and Seattle won 1-0. However, I am going Dallas in 7. Carter, what do you got?
I got the same. I really like how Seattle played against the Avs, but I think Dallas can do it.
I think Dallas will hold out and win. But if Seattle wins, hey, God bless them. I'll root for them in the next round, honestly, even if they are playing the Oilers. Jack?
Or Vegas.
Or Vegas.
Yeah. I'll go Seattle. You know what? Actually, I'll go Dallas.
Dallas in 7.
Dallas in 6.
Dallas in 6. We have a clean sweep of Dallas. I think that's the first time since Colorado. This could be yet again another podcast that we look at how dumb we were.
So clearly, if Seattle wins, we're just all going to become Seattle bandwagons, right?
Yeah, but maybe we shouldn't because we all
the
picked
day
Colorado.
we bet against them is the day they lose.
Yeah, maybe we all should bet. We should just keep betting against them because we betted against them with Colorado and they won. If we bet against them in Dallas and they win, I'm betting Edmonton so they win again, and then whoever they play in the Cup Finals, I'll bet against. So yeah, maybe we should keep betting against Seattle if we want them to go all the way. And finally, Vegas versus Edmonton. This will be a very close and competitive series, honestly. As Jack said, their power play for Edmonton's looking really good. Vegas is going to have to stay out of the box. However, I do think Vegas is much more deeper than the Oilers, for sure. So I'm going to go Oilers in 7. I'm going to stand by my Cup prediction. It's still alive. Carter, what do you have?
Okay, so I have Edmonton, but I have Edmonton in 5.
Ooh. I've been seeing people saying they'll dominate. I don't think they will. I really don't think that.
Here's the thing. I don't think it's going to end up being a sweep, but I think this series could get out of hand.
Yeah, probably.
I think it'll be like what happened in the Jets series, but flipped. I think Vegas will take game 1, put the pressure on, but then I think Edmonton's just going to find a new gear in games 2 and 3 and just figure it out and steamroll them. But, hey, I could be wrong.
The one thing that I am worried about, though, is, for Vegas' end, is if Brossoit is just a fraud, and if the Oilers put up so many goals on him in Game 1, do you consider putting in Jonathan Quick or Thompson or some other goalie? No,
because the Jets put up 5 on 4 of them were when Brossoit was in net. The fourth one was an empty net. The 5th one was like a power play with like no time left in the end of the game. So. It didn't seem to affect him that much, so I can't really speak on that, but it could. I think if Game 1 gets out of hand and Edmonton dominates, I think Brossoit could end up being done. But hey, I thought they should have put Quick in Game 2, and they didn't, and Brossoit played great for the rest of the series, so I think it might be Brossoit's cage for the rest of the playoffs.
Jack?
Yeah, I'm going to go Edmonton in 5. I think Edmonton matches up. Yeah, I think they match up really well with Vegas. Just with the special teams, and as you mentioned, Vegas took a lot of penalties in that first round, and I think that'll continue. And I mean, Edmonton is pretty close to unstoppable on the power play, so I'm gonna go Edmonton in 5.
Man, you guys are just undermining Vegas. Let me tell you that. Anyways, anything else for round 2? Oh, I'll ask one more question. What is your must-watch series? Because I think all of Carter's teams out. Our teams have been out, Jack. But what is our go-to series? For me, I'm probably watching Vegas, Edmonton, and Toronto, Florida. But
I'm going Toronto, Florida.
Toronto, Florida. Carter, what about you?
Dallas, Seattle.
Yeah, that's valid too. All these series.
That Game 1 was a shootout. I loved that game. Oh my goodness,
was a very fun game. I feel that game as
well. Quite honestly, I feel really bad for Joe Pavelski. That guy put up 4. He gave it everything he had in his return, and they couldn't help him, which does kind of suck. But
yeah.
But if he would have put up 4 and the OT winner and put up 5, oh man,
Vegas' best playoff performance in history.
Yeah,
it would have
been crazy.
Yeah, just oh my god, that would have been wild. But yeah. Anyways, we'll move on from the. Let me write down the timestamp real quick. We'll move on from the playoff talk to get into some headlines. Finally, about an hour in. The Selke finalists. What was that? Someone said something. Man, y'all just love talking over me.
I didn't say that.
The Selke finalists were announced. Patrice Bergeron, Mitch Marner, and Nico Hischier are the 3. Of course, this is awarded to the best two-way center. So I have Bergeron winning it. Who do you guys have winning it? It's probably gonna be Bergeron, but who do you guys have winning it this year? Bergeron.
Yeah, I got Bergeron. Yep.
Yeah, that's expected. He's gonna win it. He's probably gonna win it every year for the rest of his career, if this is his last year. The Lady Byng finalists were also announced. I believe this is the Sportsmanlike Award. Isn't it the Sportsmanlike Award? I believe. Braden Point, Jack Hughes, and Anze Kopitar are the finalists for this award. Honestly, this award I could care less. I have Kopitar. Who do you guys have? You're nodding your head, Carter. Kopitar, Jack.
Yeah, I think Kopitar's a good pick.
Yeah. I mean, no disrespect to Point or Hughes, but that award I don't really care for. Mark Borowiecki has retired from the NHL. This was announced actually today. He played with the Nashville Predators and the Ottawa Senators. I actually liked him a lot. I thought it was a really solid, bottom six defenseman. The Minnesota Wild signed Marcus Johansson to a 2-year, $2 million contract. As much as the Wild didn't look so good in those playoffs, Johansson looked all right, so not a bad way to go for them. And then the last piece of news here I have, more Calgary news. We talked about Calgary, I believe, 2 episodes ago when they parted ways with Brad Treliving. Well, they fired Daryl Sutter now. And it goes to show even more like just different things happening with Calgary. And now they have a brand new opportunity to bring in a new GM, a new coach. So do you guys have any thoughts on that? Like where Calgary could go from here?
I don't know. Honestly, I don't know what can happen with them. There's so many different ways that this could go, where this could head. So I don't know.
Apparently Sutter made the locker room like terrible, really, really bad. So
yeah.
So
That's
definitely good to get him out of there. Jack, do you have anything?
Yeah, just the locker room stuff. That's a big deal. And, I mean, that might be the whole reason why Calgary was who they were this year. So
I think we all had them in the playoffs. I think we all had them around the same spot. We had them like second and third, I think, in that division. I do think, though, they will be back. I think they will be back this coming season. I think they will make it again. You could just call me meat riding Calgary, which I've done before. It's very valid. But I do think they will. I think they will come back and make the playoffs. Trending players up next. That's all I have for headlines. I got Florida's Brandon Montour, who had a really good series against Boston. 8 games played, 6 goals, 3 assists for 9 points. Played really well. I got Seattle's Grubauer, 8 games played, 5-3-0, a 2.57 goals against average, and a .921 save percentage. He was really looking like his old self. Just played really well. Definitely deserving of a trending player's role. I forget. I had someone else I wanted to put in here, but I didn't. Carter, you might be saying
Matthew Tkachuk?
Yeah, Tkachuk. Tkachuk, I think it was the guy I was thinking of. Had a really good playoff series as well. Also, like, shout-outs to Eric Holla, Ryan O'Reilly I could have thrown in there. So many players you could have gone in there. All right, it's time. So today we're starting a new series in episode 24. So for the past couple of years, past couple of episodes, I have headlines. Carter has his game of the week when that's the regular season, but Jack, he has nothing. So I decided to give
that
Jack
all changes today.
That all changes today. I have decided to start a brand new series called Jack's Guess a Player, where me and Carter are going to collectively work together to guess Jack's NHL player. He's thinking of a random NHL player right now. Me and Carter have 4 guesses, 2 each, and then we also have a final guess that we can guess. So, we have any questions about that? Jack, do you have your player ready?
I do have my player ready.
Carter has a question. Carter?
I got one question. Are we just naming a player and he just tells us yes or no?
No, we can ask questions being like, is this player in the Central Division? Is this player in the Eastern
Oh,
Conference?
okay. And it's like yes or no questions?
Yes. So we're also gonna keep track of it too. We're gonna have a record week by week, episode by episode. So hopefully, and if also as well as this too, if this becomes too easy with just me and Carter, maybe I will split it up and me and Carter will go against each other. So maybe a 3-way versus here. But me and Carter are working together today to take down Jack. So Carter, do you want to go first with your question? Do you have a question to ask Jack?
I would love to. Jack,
we'll go
Yes,
question.
sir.
We'll take turns.
your player in the Western Conference.
He is not.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
All right. Take notes. Take notes. Take notes.
I got you. I got you.
Not in
he's in
West.
the East. He's in the East. He's in the East.
Eastern Conference. All right. Let's see here. All right, Jack. Does this player play for a Canadian team?
He does.
Okay.
Okay. So we got Toronto.
And that
We got Montreal.
That narrows it down to the Atlantic Division. So that's 2 questions right there. There you go.
Yeah. Okay, that's huge. That's
We got
huge.
Toronto,
All right.
Montreal, Ottawa.
Okay.
Down to those 3 teams.
Okay. Is
I-
your player a forward?
He is.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Jack, you might not know the answer to this one, but is your player under 25 years old?
I'm gonna say over.
Okay, that might have been a bad question to ask.
That might have been.
I can look that up really quick, actually.
Yeah. Look it up.
You look it up.
We need to be first. Okay, wait. So do we have one question left?
No, we have our final guess. That's all.
Oh,
That's
what?
all we got. We got our final guess.
Oh, that's bad.
He is over the age of 25. Yes.
Okay, so he's over 25 and he's a forward. Okay.
All right.
Okay. I don't know what we're looking at here.
Carter, if you go for like one team, I'm probably gonna go for a different team. So just keep
Okay,
that
so
in mind.
we each have a final guess.
Yes.
Oh God, I gotta think now. All right.
Oh boy. Alright. Down to 3 teams. Over 25.
Jack, what's your thoughts on Toronto? You got like any?
What do you mean? What are my
Yeah,
thoughts on Toronto?
Jack, you have the right to call flag. By the
No,
way,
I just asked him his thoughts. Like.
I like Toronto.
Okay.
Oh boy. Shit. Oh boy.
Okay, I got it. Jack,
Yes.
is your player Alex DeBrincat?
No, sir.
Oh damn it!
Good guess. Very good guess.
Oh, that's such a good guess.
He said great guess. So maybe that means that it's either
Well-
on the Blackhawk or he's on the Ottawa Senators. So we gotta think. Oh man. All right.
Okay. So it's not. Oh wait, it could be Ottawa still. I don't think it's Ottawa.
He said good guess. It could collectively be Ottawa. So we gotta think.
I got an idea. I have an idea. I don't know if it's it. But I'm gonna text you. It's got to be a former Blackhawk.
All right. I'm thinking someone, but I don't know if he'd go that obvious. All right. I'm gonna go over to-
Wait.
Oh man, Carter's doing his extensive research on this.
No. Don't.
Don't do that. Okay.
No.
All right. I'm gonna go. Fuck it. Claude Giroux. Is it Claude Giroux?
No, sir.
Fuck. Dang it. No. No.
It's gonna be obvious. Is it Matthews?
No, sir.
He's gonna say Sam Lafferty. Is it Lafferty?
Oh my gosh. Yes.
Are you kidding me? I was thinking of it. No.
I knew it was a former Blackhawk, man.
Are
Yep.
you serious? I should have.
That's why I said
Damn
good
it.
guess.
Oh my god. Wait, what?
That's why I said good guess, former Blackhawk.
Oh my god. We were right there, Carter. No.
Yep.
Oh my god.
I knew. Okay, I looked it up and Kirby Doc wasn't 22. That was what I texted Nord about. I'm like, gotta be Kirby
Yeah,
Doc. Like, there's no
Oh,
way.
yeah.
Thank you, Kirby Doc.
Yeah.
Oh,
But
man.
he's 22. So.
All right. Well, Jack is 1-0.
Let's go.
All right, Carter. We're gonna have to go back and cook up next episode. Oh,
Plays.
all right.
Yeah, come on, boys.
Jack wins
All right,
that
Nordic.
round. All right.
Nordic.
Well, what?
Now comes your time.
Yeah, it's my time now.
No.
So hold on. Let me talk. So if you guys remember, I believe in episode number 23 or 22, I think one of
It
those
was
episodes.
either last episode or 2 episodes ago.
We did a blind rank where I blind ranked Carter and Jack Stanley Cup playoff related questions, and Carter wanted to do it to me, so we're gonna do that today. So I'm just gonna let Carter take it away. I don't know if Jack has anything. Jack, do you have anything?
No, me and Jack went
No,
combined
yeah,
on this.
we did it together.
Oh, okay. All right. So just
All right. So today you were going to be blind ranking NHL logos all time.
Oh Christ!
All right.
Okay.
So, starting it off, this is one that Jack picked. You're going to be ranking the Islanders Fisherman logo. Where would that go out of 5?
Man. I can't go 5. Is that what you just said?
No,
Oh,
I didn't say. I said 1 through 5.
Oh, well, I thought you said you can't go 5. I'm like, what?
Damn, you get restricted.
I like that logo. I'm gonna go 2.
2? Okay. Current Minnesota Wild.
I'm gonna go 4.
4? Okay.
Are we doing multiple rounds of this, or is this just the only round?
Oh, we just have 1.
Oh, okay. All right, that's fine.
All right. We got the Penguins 2011 Winter Classic.
Oh man, can I look up the logo?
That's the one with the penguin with the scarf.
Yeah, I can't remember what that looks like though.
Okay, yeah, you can look it up.
2011 Winter Classic Penguins logo. This is 4, right?
This is the 3rd one that we've done.
3rd one. I'm gonna go 5.
2 and 5.
Oh,
Okay.
man.
Wow.
Right. All right. I'm honestly shocked by that one, but okay. So you got 1 and 3 left. Hartford Whalers.
Shit. I feel like I know what you're gonna do to me here. I feel like I know what you're gonna do to me. Okay, I'm just gonna go for it. I'm gonna put Hartford at 3. Christ.
Ooh. Okay.
That's solid.
You know what? That's respectable. All right. Final logo.
Oh God, here we go. It's gonna be in my 1 spot.
The Mighty Ducks logo.
Oh, okay. All right. I'm not mad about that.
Nice.
All right.
Nicely done, Nordic.
That's not. That's actually not
Hey,
bad.
that was very nice. All right. So reading through your 1 to 5, we got the Mighty Ducks logo at 1, Fishermen at 2, Whalers at 3, Wild at 4, Pens Winter Classics at 5.
I'm not
That's
mad at
solid.
that. I'm actually satisfied
That's
with that.
that's
not
pretty
bad.
solid.
That's not
That's
too
solid.
bad. Compared to what some of y'all had in my blind ranking, that's not too bad.
Yeah.
I gotta be honest. Is that all you got?
Yeah. That's all I had.
Yeah.
That's fine.
I was so tempted to sewer you. You have no idea.
You were no, because what if I went 1 there? Would you still have picked Mighty Ducks?
I only had 5.
We only had 5.
You only had 5. I was thinking you were gonna throw me a curveball if I put Whalers at 1, and you were gonna put the Nordics logo or some other logo that I really liked at 3, and I was gonna flip my crap, but you didn't.
We should have done the Nordics logo, but
God bless. All right.
oh well.
If that's all that you guys have, we'll move into our final segment here. We've been going for about an hour and 17 minutes, but we're going to keep on going. We're going to start reviewing team seasons and kind of just talking about how their season went and, looking at, like, what their offseason could look like and all that good stuff. So we'll start off with Anaheim because they were the 32nd and worst team in the NHL this season. The Ducks finished with a 23, 47, and 12 record for 58 points. They scored 209 goals. They let in 338, and they were 12, 25, and 4 at home, and they were 11, 25, and 8 on the road. Brutal season. Honestly, just struggled to win in regulation. Their month-by-month record, they had multiple months where they had 10 losses, which is brutal for a team. So definitely not a good year altogether. They relieved Dallas Eakins of his head coach position. They had a 13-game losing streak to end the season, and they have the best odds at first overall for Connor Bedard. Their leading goal scorer was Trevor Zegras with 81 games played, 23 goals, 42 assists for 65 points. Your goalie, who was the goalie who played the most games, was John Gibson with 53 games played, 14, 31, and 8 with a 3.99 goals against average and a .899 save percentage. The trades they made in the offseason, or not in the offseason, the trade deadline, were John Klingberg to the Minnesota Wild and Dmitry Kulikov to the Pittsburgh Penguins. So, what are your guys' overall thoughts on the Anaheim Ducks this season? It feels like we haven't talked about a not-playoff team in years.
Yeah, it really does.
Carter? Great.
No. All right. Yeah. Dude, I don't know what's happening anymore. All right. I'll just go. Okay. It feels weird talking about a team that's not in the playoffs anymore. I don't know the last time we've ever talked about the Anaheim Ducks.
It's been a while.
Yeah, they locked down the first overall pick. They're not locked down it. They locked down the best odds at the first overall pick. But yeah, I think that the Ducks kind of set out exactly what they were gonna probably end up doing this season.
Yeah, I agree. Jack?
Yeah, Anaheim, they're looking at number one overall pick here, and I mean if you get Connor Bedard, which they're the favorites to get, this is a very bright future. It already is, but I mean if you go and get Bedard, that top line's looking like Zegras, McTavish, and Bedard in years to come, and I mean that's going to be very very exciting. So yeah, I besides the Blackhawks, I do hope they get Bedard. But obviously, I want the Blackhawks to get him.
I got another question for you. Do you think they were tanking? And this is
Yes.
a whole different question. Like, do players tank?
I think yes.
I don't think they do. I mean, like,
They
yeah,
just
they
don't
were
make it
bad,
obvious.
but they had the worst. They had a really bad team. We didn't realize it. It just really sucks that it happened this way. But yeah, they played really bad this year.
Yeah.
Definitely. As it goes for their off season, they have 1 first round pick, which could be the first overall pick. They have 3 second round picks, and 2/3. Some of their free agents that are expiring on the UFA side, you got Derek Grant, Kevin Shattenkirk, and Anthony Stolars. On the RFA side, you have Max Comtois, Troy Terry, Trevor Zegras, and Jamie Drysdale as some notable players there that are expiring. So I would imagine that a lot of their $14 million in cap space is going to go towards the Zegras and Terry contracts. They're going to get paid regardless. So definitely something you got to look at there. Drysdale likely gets a bridge deal. The rest of the guys probably walk, to be honest. I think you got to want to get a fresh start and build this team from some other free agents from the ground up, to be honest. But yeah, you guys have any thoughts? Like, what is the thing they should do this offseason? Get younger, get a free agent, just wait for the draft. Like, what are we thinking? Also,
I think you wait.
Sorry, one more thing. The draft lottery will have passed by our next podcast. So completely forgot about that.
What
Go
day is
Ducks! The 10th, I think.
that? Okay.
I think it's next Monday.
Okay.
I'll be live for YouTube on it. So, yeah, what should they do this offseason? What's the best?
I think you wait and see what happens with the draft. If
Yeah.
you get Bedard, obviously you build around him.
Yeah, for sure. Carter?
You get Bedard, they're set. I think that that's all they need. I think once they get Bedard, they'll be fine. He's a game changer, and I think you pair him with the right line mates, and he's golden.
Yeah, for sure. I think you do just wait for Bedard. Any last things on Anaheim?
No, you got nothing.
Nope. All right, we'll move into the Columbus Blue Jackets, the team that finished 31st in the NHL. They finished with a 25-48-9 record for 59 points. They scored 214 goals and let in 330. They were 16-32-2 at home, and they were 9-25-7 on the road. Yeah, just a bad season overall. I mean, the worst things that could have happened. No player, and I mean no player on this team played 82 games. Not one. So that goes to show like all the injuries they had during this regular season. They just horrible. They fired their head coach Brad Larson after another really bad season. Their leading scorer was Johnny Gaudreau with 80 games played, 21 goals, 53 assists for 74 points. Their goalie who played the most games was, of course, Elvis Merzlikins with a 7-18-2 record, a 4.23 goals against average, and a .896 save percentage. Of course, some of the trades they made were Jonathan Quick to the Vegas Golden Knights, Paulo and Gavrikov to the Los Angeles Kings, Jacob Voracek to the Arizona Coyotes, and Gustav Nyquist to the Minnesota Wild. So, Gaudreau comes to Columbus. I think we had them close to the playoffs. I think some of us did, right?
Yeah.
I don't really remember.
But yeah, just overall thoughts on Columbus's really bad season, and will they bounce back next year?
Yeah, I don't think
I don't
they'll
know.
bounce back just because I think they're in such a hole right now, and you can't really do that in one off season. But yeah, I don't think they were expecting to be the second worst team in the league. This was a team that was, I think, somewhat trying to win, maybe have a chance at the playoffs this year, and everything just went wrong for them.
Yeah. What if they get Bedard though? Do you think that they'll be better then?
Oh yeah, for sure.
No
Carter?
matter what team gets Bedard, they'll be better. But this team was just injury riddled this season. I think was their issue is they just had so many injuries up and down their roster. So it was kind of hard for them to really make a name for themselves this year. Is they just had too many injuries. They lost Zach Werenski early in the season. Voracek, I think, was Voracek hurt? I'm pretty sure Voracek was hurt.
Yeah,
right?
Voracek has been hurt. He is hurt.
Voracek was hurt throughout the whole season. They were just injury riddled this year, all up and down their roster. So you can't really compete if you're banged up all the time. So I think that was their biggest issue.
Yeah, 100%. You look at the offseason, they have 2 first-round picks, 1 second-round pick, and 2 thirds. They're UFAs, and thankfully they don't have a lot. You got Gavin Bayreuther, John Gillies on the UFA side. Then you got Lane Peterson as the only notable player on the RFA side. So overall, not a lot of players leaving, which is good news, or for sure, because But as well as that too, they only have $2.4 million in cap space. So maybe you want to think about moving some of those guys out. But I do think they will bounce back next year. If Laine plays a full season, he won't score 55, but he will be a solid player nonetheless. Hey, I will say this about my 55 goal take. He had 55 games played. I'm sorry, guys. I meant 55 games played.
Hey, heck of a job, Nordic. Heck of a job. You messed up a couple letters. Messed up a couple letters. You said goals. I'm pretty sure you meant games.
Yeah,
so I think you just messed up letters.
Goals.
Yeah, you just have a stutter with that. Whenever you try to say games, you just say goals.
Yeah, I always fumble those words. Like like last episode, Jets Winnipeg. Like I just.
Yeah. No, 100%. Like I've seen you countless times. Like you're like, well, the Jets Vegas series or the Jets series ended up ending in 5 goals. You do that a lot. So I think you just messed up words there.
Yeah. Yep. But yeah, like honestly, for this offseason, what should they do? Should they wait for Bedard? Should they go out and get a free agent or trade some of these players? What should you do?
I don't know. You just gotta try and get some pieces because I don't know. I think they gotta go through either a rebuild or just get a retool. Get some either little bit older guys to try and do something to help out these younger guys because they got a lot of young guys on that team. So
yeah, I think they will be better next year though. I don't know what you guys are saying. They won't be, but I think they will be better for sure. Jack, you got anything?
Yeah, I mean, can't get much worse than what they were this year. So yeah, I do think they'll be better.
Yeah. We'll move on now to I think Chicago. Yep, Chicago.
Yep.
Blackhawks. They finished 30th in the NHL with a 26-49-7 record for 59 points. They scored 204 goals and let in 301. They were 14-23-4 at home, and they were 12-26-3 on the road. They have the 3rd best odds at first overall. Of course, this was like a year where, it's the first year of the rebuild. They're going to be really bad, and they were really bad. It was expected. Their leading scorer was Andreas Athanasiou with 81 games played, 20 goals, 20 assists, 40 points. Their goalie who played the most games was Peter Mrazek with a 10-22-3 record, a 3.66 goals against average, and a .894 save percentage. Their trades that they made this offseason or the deadline were Patrick Kane to the Rangers, Max Domi to the Dallas Stars, Jack Johnson to the Colorado Avalanche, and Jake McCabe and Sam Lafferty to the Toronto Maple Leafs. So Jack, I'll go to you first. First year of the rebuild, how are we feeling?
Yeah, and it's all right, considering, obviously, there is a future with this team. I trust Davidson in what he's doing. I really wish we got the best odds in the drafts, like really wish. But then, the late wins against Pittsburgh and against Calgary, I think it was, that really killed us. But yeah, we'll see what happens with the draft. And then I think what the Hawks have always been really good at in their rebuilding years is signing guys to 1-year deals and then trading, getting their stock up in the first half of the season, then trading him at the deadline. That's what they did with Domi this year.
I feel like Domi can
And
come
yeah,
back though. Honestly.
Domi can come back for sure, and I think you may see another 1-year contract with that and another trade. But I have heard Domi does want to stay long term. I would also I'd be down for that.
Yeah.
He could be a leader in the locker room. He has the power to do that. But yeah, I mean, first year of the rebuild. Pretty sure everyone was expecting this. Kane, Taves gone, unfortunately. So obviously, it'll never be the same without them. But yeah, it's a new era for the Chicago Blackhawks.
Yeah, for sure. Carter, thoughts on the Blackhawks?
They suck.
Thanks.
Jack goes into an emotional speech about Chicago, and
That's what I needed to hear.
And then Jack's just like, or Carter's just like, they suck. Wait till we get to the Jets. Maybe Jack will get back at you for that.
We'll just go. They suck. They're better than the Blackhawks, but they suck.
True.
Oh man. Anyways, we'll move into like what the offseason is gonna look like. They have 2 firsts, 4 seconds, and 2 thirds. So overall, that is like 8 picks in the first 3 rounds, which is not too bad. Their UFAs, you got guys like Jonathan Tays, Andreas Athanasiou, Jujhar Khaira, and Alex Stalock. And then on the RFAs, then you got Anders Bjork, Philip Kurashev, and Caleb Jones. With only $5 million in cap space, a lot of these guys are likely going to walk. Tays already announced he was going to walk. But yeah, honestly, if you're Chicago, do you go out and get more guys to 1-year contracts and trade them at the deadline again, or do you start trying to make moves for prospects? Jack?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, what they've been good at in the past is signing those 1-year deals, and what we've seen is the Hawks have really built up their second and third round picks because of this, and I think that's just huge for what the Hawks are trying to do, and this year, next year, I think it's going to be all about getting those draft picks. And although they did have a lot more resources this year than I think they'll have next year, I think we could see Athanasiou be traded, maybe even this offseason. But at some point, you do have to keep those guys that, can put up consistent production. And Athanasiou is the only guy in this team, only forward at least. And then there's Seth Jones, obviously. But those are really the only 2 guys that can consistently put up points on this team. And I think eventually, you have to go out and get somebody just for the sake of it. You can't really do that in the NHL this age.
Yeah, for sure. Carter, you got anything?
Not really.
They suck.
They suck. They suck.
They suck. Anyways, we'll move on to, I believe, the Sharks, I think, are next. I got to look a little bit here. San Jose. San Jose, obviously, was the 4th worst team in the NHL. They finished with a 22, 44, and 16 record for 60 points. They scored 232 goals and led at 321. They were 8, 22, and 11 at home. 8 wins at home is brutal. And then they were 14, 22, and 5 on the road. Obviously, of course, a bad season where they were expected to be bad. But, trying to build towards that future. Their leading scorer was Erik Karlsson, who was surprisingly good with 82 games played, 25 goals, 76 assists for 101 points. Their goalie who played the most games was James Reimer with a 12, 21, and 8 record, a 3.48 goals against average, and a .890 save percentage. They made some moves. Timo Meier to the Devils, Nick Bonino to the Pittsburgh Penguins in that 3-way deal, and Vladislav Nemesnikov to the Winnipeg Jets. So overall, what are your guys' thoughts on San Jose's season? Just the first year of that rebuild. Nothing really to expect coming in a few years. But yeah, you guys got anything?
Yeah, they're in a similar spot as the Blackhawks, honestly.
Yeah.
You give away, the star player, you get some assets back for that. And I think they could be looking at a pretty long rebuild, too. I don't see a lot of guys that are going to stick around, a lot of young guys that are going to stick around in San Jose. So I think, you just try to build up those draft picks like the Hawks are doing.
Yeah. Carter?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I'd call this season like a failure for them. Well, definitely a failure because they sucked. But I don't know. You saw Erik Karlsson play really well. He was in trade talk, so I mean, you're kind of looking at him like, hey, this was 1 year. If he does it one more year, you could be getting at least some serious offers for him, like actual ones this time. But I don't know. There's still a couple guys on that roster that if they wanted to go full rebuild, they got a bunch of guys that they can do that with. So, yeah, I don't know. There's not a whole lot to say.
Yeah, honestly, for most of these teams. As it goes for their draft capital or what the future is going to look like, they have 2 first-round picks, 1 second and 1 third. For their UFAs, you have James Reimer, Jeffrey Vale. That's pretty much it. Then for your RFAs, you got Fabian Zetterlund, Evgeny Svechnikov, just some, guys that, really weren't like big name players. So of course there's that. But yeah, as you brought up, the Erik Karlsson deal could play a factor. But yeah, honestly, if I'm San Jose, I'm just waiting for the draft, get draft picks, sign some players like Chicago does to 1-year deals and flip them at the deadline. But yeah, you guys got anything?
Yeah, I got
For the
nothing.
offseason? Got nothing. All right, we'll move into our final team. I believe it is the Montreal Canadiens. They were I believe, the 5th worst. Let me find them real quick. They're very far back. Yeah, Montreal. The Montreal Canadiens finished with a 31-45-6 record for 68 points. They scored 232 goals and let in 307. They were 17-21-3 at home and 14-24-3 on the road. Of course, the first year or the second year of, not being so good since the Stanley Cup Finals. Much more improved year, definitely for some of the guys who were hurt as well. Your leading scorer, was Nick Suzuki with 82 games played, 26 goals, 40 assists, 46 points. The goalie who played the most games was Jake Allen with a 15-24-3 record with a 3.55 goals against average and a .891 save percentage. Of course, just, another season of bad. Their trades they made, Dadonov to the Dallas Stars, and they also contributed in the 3-way Nick Bonino deal. So yeah, what are your overall thoughts on Montreal? Just the second year of not being so good, but the future is a lot brighter than it used to be, honestly.
Yeah, this is a team that's in a much better spot than the past 4 teams we've talked about, and I think that's good for them. They're going to get another high draft pick this year, and I mean, when you look at this team, they're solid. They're a good team right now, and I know they didn't show, but in the first half of the year, I mean, they really weren't bad at all. And they got a lot of young guys that have already established themselves, and yeah, I like where Montreal is right now, and I really like where they're going. So
yeah, I agree. Carter?
Yeah, I think Montreal is a very, very scary team in a couple years, especially because like you look at how they have been now. They got a lot of youth on this team that all it's going to take is like one year off season for most of these guys to blossom, and then they are going to be scary. Like Nick Suzuki, he's already turned into a very solid player for them. Cole Caulfield, who did just get hurt, but he's going to be a superstar in this league very soon. Kirby Dach had his breakout year with the Montreal Canadiens. Former Blackhawk for Jack there.
Yeah.
But again, a lot of youth on this team. So if they end up getting they got a top 5 pick right now, but all that could happen is one more piece to this team, and they could be very scary.
Imagine if they get Bedard. Man,
this team would be absolutely gross with Bedard. Like,
they're
it wouldn't even be fair.
Dude, that whole division, like, oh my god, if they get Bedard, that whole division changes. Like,
for sure.
That
a lot of those teams are on the come down.
Good.
Like, I don't know how they'd end up doing this line, but could you imagine a line of Nick Suzuki, Connor Bedard, and Cole Caulfield?
Yeah, that would be wild.
Crazy.
Could you imagine having Nick Suzuki on the center, Cole Caulfield, I think he'd probably play right wing, and then Connor Bedard on the left?
Yeah.
That would be gross. You have a very solid passer in Nick Suzuki who can go one side to Cole Caulfield and probably score, or another side to Connor Bedard and probably score. Like, that would be gross.
That's why I hope that they don't get Bedard. Just saying. we'll move into like what their offseason could look like. Draft picks, they got 2 first-round picks. They got a second and a third. Their UFAs, they got Jonathan Drouin, Chris Tierney, Sean Monahan, and Paul Byron. RFAs, you got Cole Caulfield. And he's probably going to be taking up a big part of what money comes out this offseason. As for cap space right now, they have 0. So, honestly, this Caulfield contract is going to look very interesting, and we'll see what amounts of that. But one last thing. Anything you guys think they should do in the offseason? Just wait for the draft. Go out and get one more piece.
Pretty much for most of these teams, it's just going to be wait for the draft because
pretty much
not a whole lot to do until the draft lottery happens, and then pretty much after that, once the playoffs conclude, there's a little grace period, and then it's right back to it. So,
of course, when we do our reviews for the next 5 teams, we will have the draft picks finalized. So keep that in mind. But Jack, wrap this up. Got anything?
Yeah, like I said, Montreal, they're in a much better spot than the teams that were below them. And like you guys mentioned, if they get Bedard, this is going to be a very dominant team, and especially in that division when you have a lot of those teams that have been successful in the past and are kind of calming down now. And I think Montreal could own that division for a while.
100%. All right, well, that's all I have for playoffs, team reviews, blind rankings, Jack's guest a player. That's all we have. An hour and 40-minute episode we just had today. So thank you all very much for listening and watching to the end. We didn't get to see Jack's wonderful face for the entire episode, but that's okay.
Sorry, guys.
Jack, turn your camera
on. So
I'm turning it on right now. See, hopefully it doesn't lag.
Oh, yeah! Doesn't have a hat on.
No hat. It fell off. I didn't feel like grabbing it.
All right. But anyways, that's all we got for y'all. Thank you all very much for listening or watching. We do appreciate it. The next episode will be a special episode number 25, a quarter to 100, which is a pretty nice milestone for us. But anyways, thank you all for watching, and we will see you guys in the next episode. Adios.